Hello and welcome to Ula Tea Leaf Readings. My name is Lenor, and tonight I'm going to be reading your tea leaves. This is a horoscope for Gemini. If Gemini is your solar, lunar, ascendant / rising sign, then this is a message for you. All right, let's get started. And so our card tonight is the Princess of Cups. Ooh, my goodness. All right, let's take a look and see what these tea leaves have to say. And if you have not subscribed yet, please think about doing that. You can hit the little bell. It'll let you know when the next readings are coming out. It is free to subscribe. Hello, T. Come on, baby. Mamas. Oi, there she is. There's the girl. All right. All right. We are right on the cusp of this dang old eclipse. I am feeling the energy. I have talked about it on here before. It's just, yeah, the full moon does affect me. Of course, but the new moon affects me, and then like a lot. And then when we have a super new moon, I just absolutely, I've been feeling the effects of it for the last couple of days, and I can just feel that it's getting so close. It's just absolutely. All right, let's take a look. So we have a person. Oops, are you all right? Hold on tight. We have a person right here. You can see the head, and they're kind of looking this way, wearing some kind of robe or long dress, kind of flowy. Okay. Now we also have, it looks like, what are you focusing on? There we go. It looks like we have a K. Okay. And butterfly, and we have a flamingo. Ooh, okay. We have a flamingo right here. Okay, and then we have a child. Right here you can see the head and maybe it's a dress again or a robe. And so we have this kind of beautiful, idyllic pair. Maybe Trinity. We also have the beautiful bird there. And so in my mind, I imagine just an absolutely beautiful and lush, kind of jungly or, well, yeah, maybe like a jungle scene. And we're next to a beautiful waterway where the birds congregate. And if you've ever been to any place, and maybe not even, it doesn't have to be the jungle, but any place where the birds hang out and, the tall lake birds, water birds, the heron, the cranes, the storks, I'm not going to name every tall bird, but the flamingos. Yes, it is. It kind of almost, I always imagine this is what it must have looked like during the dinosaur times. These birds they look like little dinosaurs. And it's just a beautiful and thoughtful, there's a sense of contemplation with these kinds of birds. And with the flamingo, what comes up for me when I see it is this idea of adorning oneself with the image or the style or the energy that they'd like to put off. What is the vibe? What is the aesthetic? Are you very focused on coming off in a certain way? We all do. We think about, you go out into the world and you want to as much as you can, as much as you can bear, kind of putting off at least kind of, well, maybe kind of together, right? You have things together, thoughtful, maybe kind, or maybe it's that you are putting off a vibe of don't mess with me, you don't even need to look at me, just keep moving. But I do feel like in this sense, in this context, we have this beautiful, kind of very, I would say, a very spring Persephone type archetype, and then we have the child who I almost think of something like this, a secret garden, or out running through the long grasses and coming upon the scene, this lush kind of jungled area, and these beautiful birds kind of standing, doing their business, whatever birds get up to, and a sense of awe and wonder. Okay, so in this time, I feel that you are really you are in a place of figuring out, what is it that I'm going to do for this next period of time. Maybe you are applying for like a new job, or you're thinking about, hey, maybe I'm going to go back to school for this new, career that I want, or this adding on to your skill set to make yourself more, hireable, I guess, or able to do kind of the work that you maybe have a very specialized kind of focus. But I feel like it is kind of the sense of almost like, I imagine, it's not just searching, it's kind of roving around, putting your feelers way out there, seeing what there is to see, so that you can kind of decide, like, what am I going to kind of like apply myself to? Where am I going to put my energies? And I think that this is something that happens fairly often with you. I mean, not every other day. But I do think that you are somebody who is quite fluid in the way that you live. You are not somebody who I would consider existing in a fixed state. You are definitely, say you have somebody in your life who sees you every 2-3 years, and every time they kind of encounter you, you are doing something else. Maybe last time you were like a real estate agent and you're really kind of into that, and now you're working on something else, maybe interior design, or I don't know. I'm trying to think of something having to do with houses. It could be completely opposite. Maybe you opened a bakery, or, but I feel like, and listen, I think that you've also maybe gotten some criticism over the years about this, maybe even from family, thinking, you can never really marry yourself to one thing. You kind of, hop around and you get to a certain point with some things, and then you kind of abandon it a little bit. This is how they perceive it. Now, I think that you are somebody that loves to live life. You like to try things. You like to experience, how it might feel to work in a restaurant. You might want to go work abroad and teach, English or whatever. You might want to, get into coding and be able to work remotely wherever you want to be, whatever it is. But it doesn't stay the same for, too long. And maybe it's not even where you make your money. Maybe it's just that you have interests that are, varied, and you go through different phases. I think this is awesome, personally. I think that I love the kind of that Mercury energy, flowing to different places, getting into different things, having just a lot of different experiences, very worldly, you know, and I don't know why people don't, you know, think much of that sometimes, but I think the world is changing in a lot of ways too. We live in this, Tite, not with the tail, mama. Go on. Thank you. I love you. I appreciate your help, but please don't touch. Just trying to point things out. But I think it's changing because so many of us have access to the internet, right? And we are exposed to so many different things, so many cool things. And like, how could you not be totally just drawn to like all different, you know, different interests and hobbies and passions and trying different kinds of work and volunteering and, you know, I don't know. I mean, that's just me. But I think that Gemini, and I'm a Virgo, solar Virgo, we totally kind of click in that way. And it's great because my daughter is a Gemini. And me and her, we're both just kind of, my husband's always like, you guys have just such a kind of chaotic energy sometimes. But we both are just into so many things. Like, we have so many favorite things that we love. And I see it in her and I adore it because she's so excited all the time about just the most random stuff, you know, and I don't know. So it's cool. And I love that about Gemini people. I really do. All right, so we have sevens. I have 1, 2, 3 sevens, and that is a jackpot. So we're doing good. I think that, you know, not only are you kind of planning your next move, there are the finances coming in to bankroll this. At least that you are stable. Bills are getting paid. A little less worry, okay? So it's important, you know, and Gemini's not the only sign I tell this to, but it's important to plan. It's important to save if you have the ability. I know the world we live in right now is just, I mean, I don't even know. How do you even do that? How does one do that? So, you know, I think that definitely, if there is the ability, this is a good time to really think about, like, what is my financial plan? Am I going to be able to stick to this, do something that is realistic? You know, it's all fine and well to have a plan for savings and paying off debts and all this kind of stuff. You know, it looks good on paper, but the reality is, like, can I actually live this way? You know, am I going to mind this plan? Those are two completely different things. So we have to be honest with ourselves and realistic. So I do see that there is this sense of money. It's coming in. It's, you know, you are, I don't think you are struggling on the level that maybe you were a couple years ago. And, you know, that can definitely be around, you know, that thing that we all went through together, right? And that was a hard time for a lot of people, and we're feeling the effects. So, but I think it's getting better. No biting me. I'm going to show these people that you bite me. I'm going to show them. They're going to know that you're biting mom. They can see my hands. They see where you've been scratching too. You silly. All right, let's see. So I keep looking at the spiral, and then in the middle, it reminds me of the two of discs. Okay, so kind of that infinite flowing down and up, and the kind of as above, so below, everything flows into one another. There is perfect balance in all things. Everything is as it should be. So I see that there is this sense of it is kind of a sense of and I'm thinking it's like an emotional I was going to say drain, but it's not a drain. It's kind of like a whirlpool, right? And it's moving and there's a current to it. And if you let yourself, you could totally succumb to it. And maybe in some ways you would like to just allow yourself to feel as you want to feel in any moment, or not even how you want to feel, just how your emotions kind of travel through your life, through your being, and release yourself of the constraints of trying to pull it together and put on a brave face and chin up and all of these kinds of things. But the reality is you're a very emotional person. And I think in a lot of ways, it feels like, anyways, to me, that there's been a lot of work towards reprogramming yourself to get rid of like the shame and guilt of being an emotional person. I feel like you've been told in your life that maybe you have these moments where you're kind of almost like in a hypomania, like really, not maybe mania where you're kind of altered in your thinking, right? But hypomania where you do have those highs and at times, those low lows and anything in between, and moodiness and taking things kind of personally and maybe crying or having what other people perceive to be as kind of disproportionate reactions to things going on. But I kind of think that in a lot of ways this is a superpower for you. Okay. Now I do, and I always will promote therapy and counseling and, exploration of your psyche, your emotionality, and anything surrounding that. Because, these kind of readings and things, ultimately it's for entertainment, right? This is not therapy, and it's not to replace therapy. I would never, even begin to try to give advice in that way. Besides, go if you need support, or even if you feel just like the desire, you have something in your head that says, hey, I would like to seek out some kind of, course of therapy or counseling, or maybe a support group, or I'm in 12-step. I'm in recovery for substance abuse, and I have been for almost 10 years. And that is very, there's a lot of healing, a lot of support in the meetings. Now, it's not always the case. I'm not going to lie to you. Sometimes they can be kind of sketchy. Sometimes they can be kind of drama. It just depends, on the meeting. But, seeking out these things, very important. At the same time, it is a terrible burden to constantly feel like you have to suppress how you feel. I've said this before on here that I cry a lot. I'm very sensitive, and I cry. Sometimes I cry multiple times a day, every day. No, I do have mental health things. I do. I have PTSD and depression and general anxiety and some other things, social anxiety and so on. I won't give you the whole list. I've had a lot of different kind of diagnoses around abuse and things like that. But I'm also just a very sensitive person. And for whatever reason, I still feel quite shameful when I cry, especially in public, and especially in front of other people. Even sometimes I'll watch a movie with my husband, who's amazing. Shout out to Dove and Serpent Tarot, Paul over there. If you've watched his readings, he's like the most open and understanding and like accepting, non-judgmental person you'll ever meet. And still I feel really silly and shameful for crying in times that make me feel vulnerable. And that's conditioning. That is because a lot of us are taught that you suck it up. You don't need to cry right now. There's no reason to cry. Why are you crying? Or feeling or getting mad or frustrated, or you don't want to do something because at your core it doesn't feel right, or you instinctively feel danger, whatever it is. And we kind of talk ourselves out of how we feel because we're trained to. And so I feel like there's this real journey happening for you of kind of undoing some of that, and I'm just going to call it the poison, right? These thought viruses. I'm trying to think of Burroughs, right? Burroughs said that. These thought viruses that we have that just, they take over how we exist. These beliefs, these things that we might not even remember where they come from. Probably we won't, because a lot of them are formed when we are very young. We just don't know. We don't know who said that to us. We don't know. We don't remember the environment, where it kind of is grown from. Well, even here's an example. I was just talking to my husband about this earlier. My daughter the other day said something about she didn't want to play with cars because those are for boys. And so now she's like getting into this place where she's starting to realize, like, the kids around her, some of them, not most of them, not. But some of them are. They can't play with dolls because they're boys. They won't do that. And girls aren't allowed to. Some kids, you're not. Only boys play soccer, And she's like, "What does that mean?" So and I'm watching this happen, and I'm like, I'm gonna get in there, and I'm gonna, I gotta undo some of this, because I don't want her feeling like that about toys and activities and things and colors and whatever. But it is, you never know where that comes from. It could be a kid in your, in your preschool class that says it, and it gets encoded as some kind of underlying belief. And so anyways, I feel like this is important. This is like a life work, right? This is one of those things that when we become aware of it, we know this is something that is important enough to continue on with through time. It's not something we just change overnight, right? It takes a lot of devotion, but it is worthy work. And I feel like being able to get into that place where, yeah, you do. You feel what you feel and you let it go. You don't feel it and hide it and stuff it down, and it becomes part of that shadow archetype, right? The thing where we hide all the stuff we don't want to face about ourselves. And that's where the monsters grow, isn't it? So when you are able to get to this point where it's like, I feel really jealous right now. Maybe it's like somebody in your life is getting married, okay? And yeah, you've been wanting to get married. you maybe are in a relationship and it's like, hey, I want to get married too. And you're watching this happy time go on. And, you know, and you feel really, really happy and supportive for him. But there is this part of you that is like, why is this not me? You know, why I should be the one, you know, and that's normal. It's normal to feel that way, but we absolutely, and now we don't run into like we don't run into the wedding and start screaming that or something, but, you know, it's something that needs to be felt and maybe even said out loud to somebody you trust. And you don't hang on to it. You don't put it in your pocket so it can fester. You just feel the thing. You let it go, and it goes about it goes out into the universe, right? It goes along on its journey away from you, and it's not easy. You know, it's not easy, but you have, and I'm looking, as I'm saying this, I'm looking at this eye right here, and I feel like you just really have a good grasp on what you need, and really in a place where it's like, I'm going to do what I have to do to kind of evolve as a being. And whatever that looks like, if other people understand or not, I don't really care at this time. Because this is your life, and ultimately you're the one that has to live it. And so, you know, I think that's a wonderful and brave. It's brave. It's not easy. A lot of people, I mean, I feel like most people avoid anything like this, you know, and it makes sense because it's painful. It can be painful. But ultimately, it unlocks so many things for you. It will. And now we have a heart right here with a little, it looks like a crown or a W. And so I do feel like there is just a sense of this kind of very, what is the word? Like a very kind of developed emotionality, a lot of emotional intelligence. I think you're very aware of how other people feel. I think that you're very careful about how you make other people feel. And I think this is all part of learning to allow yourself to feel, because I think that you're very accommodating for other people. If somebody was crying, you wouldn't think, gosh, why are they crying? Stop crying. That's ridiculous. No, you would think, okay, they need to cry. Something's going on. Even if there's not, maybe they just, you know, maybe they're like, I'm laughing because I'm thinking, you know, you're getting into an age where, well, I'm not talking about you, but I'm getting into an age where I'm getting close to menopause, I think. And I can feel it, you know? And so, yeah, you see somebody crying, you think, oh, maybe they're, you know, maybe it's something like that. Maybe it's something else. I don't know. But I'm going to hold space for them, right? Just like you would for yourself. Just like you should for yourself. And not always easy. Not always easy. But it's worth trying. Don't growl me. You are getting mean sometimes, miss. She is a bossy one, that girl. I like it. We have a house full of bossy women here. My daughter is number one. It used to be me, but now it's my daughter. And then TT's a sweetheart compared to us two. We have a real a real vision of how we want things. Okay, let's see. So we have a question mark. And I almost feel like this is, it feels like it's about a relationship of some kind. We have a heart floating around. There is some anxiousness. Now we have two people. One is fully in the emotional waters. The other one's kind of at the shore. We have the question mark, and I feel like there's this sense of, are we going to continue this? Is this going to be a continuation? Then are we going to turn the page to the next chapter and keep going here? Or is this something that really needs to be kind of looked at? Do we need to kind of go over and assess, is this an ending point? Now, I don't know that it's romantic. It could be. But it almost feels like somebody in the relationship, and, I'm going to guess, because of the other content of this reading, is that maybe you are dealing with somebody who does not express their emotions as openly as you do. And at times, I think that you feel like maybe because you are a sensitive and open person that you can kind of maybe be too much for them. And maybe they've even expressed this, right? But first of all, let me tell you, you're not too much for anybody. Maybe it's just not their communication style. Your feelings should be felt, how you express them, that's up to you, right? There's no wrong way. And I mean, of course, unless it's like harmful to others, or, you understand what I mean. But, I feel like this is maybe kind of part of this. There's this almost maybe a self-consciousness a little bit. And, I think that it's something to think about. I think there's something to think about here. Is this something that you can communicate with them about? Maybe it's even a time to have like a therapist involved. But it looks to me, honestly, because I see we have a bridge and a rainbow right up there. And it feels to me like there's other factors that are kind of like emphasizing this kind of rift that is kind of going on. Maybe there are big stressors happening in your life right now, and you're feeling a little self-conscious about how you are, communicate with this person. Maybe they're also stressed out and they kind of like clam up and become a little bit like emotionally unavailable. And so I think that this is like a time to, maybe figure out how can we compromise here? How can we figure out like an open line of communication? And do we need another person to help us with this? And that might be the key there, is having some kind of mediation. That makes sense. Definitely. So, Gemini, let's take a look. We are moving to the Indigo Sage affirmation cards. These are like the water cards that we had just been doing. Or no, Earth. We were doing the Earth ones. And now this is the Air deck. And we're going to go ahead and flip through here. And I'll stop where it feels right. Okay, so we have a beautiful little butterfly, and it says, Spirit of Truth, vivify energy. Your heart is a sacred temple of the eternal flame of love, beauty, peace, and joy. Beauty, peace, and joy. Yeah, I like that. I like that eternal flame energy. Okay, well, Gemini, I'm going to go ahead and get through this real quick because we're running long. I want to tell you I love you because I do, and I thank you so much for spending this time with me. If you would be so kind as to like the video, it does help the channel so much. And if you have not subscribed yet, please think about doing that. You can hit that little bell. It'll let you know when the next readings are coming out. And it is free to subscribe. If you'd like to leave a comment, please do. I read them all. They mean the world to me. And I want to thank everybody who had just like the sweetest well wishes and loving comments and sentiments and everything else for my husband and I. Again, shout out to Dove and Serpent Tarot. My husband Paul over there is amazing. But I thank you for all the comments on the posts about our anniversary, our wedding anniversary. So I thank you, and yeah, take care of yourself. I love you. We will talk in just a few days from now. Good night. Good night. Good night.